So yeah, and then we get to Act 3, which is probably, my goodness, 30 years later. Like, we don't know how many years, but
I would say it's good. It's at least it's long enough that they had to change actors.
yes.
Gareth becomes Lance Henriksen.
who looks very old.
I know, for anyone who came up with Aliens in Near
Bishop.
Dark, and yeah, exactly. But I mean, he is old, and he looks old.
Oh, but he gives a heck of a performance.
One of my favorite Lance Henriksen performances. That deep baritone.
Yeah.
Being deployed in just a magnificent way.
Yeah. So, where the second act left off, like, it sounded like Cherry didn't really want to be made physical. However, in the third act...
She didn't want to, but she thought it was probably the best idea.
Yeah. But we didn't really know what was going to happen, because Dina was not going to fight Amos on it. She trusted Amos. She made a point that Amos was going to take over for her when she left.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he's one of the only people she trusted.
At this point, though, when Gareth comes in, like, there's a little scene in between the first and second part that is some sort of religious service, right?
Yeah.
Or it's not a service. He's in a church, and somebody gives him this canister that we put together Amos's ashes.
Yeah.
Dina would have died 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And he gives it to, well, getting ahead of myself, he gives it to Cherry. And that's going to make sense in a moment.
Yeah.
But she puts it on a mantle next to another canister. So I always assumed the first one was Dina and the one that Gareth is bringing her is
Amos. Yeah.
And he is able to hand it to her because...
she has hands.
Yes.
She is now a real girl. However, she still has a cord that is kind of attached to her, like a plug almost.
When we first see her, she's got this thing attached to her back, and it's like a there's a term for this, but it's like a bundle of cords.
Yeah. And
Gareth says something about you shouldn't need lubricant, and she says vapor. And so apparently this thing, it's like an umbilical cord of some kind that is capable of lubricating joints. It's also capable of pumping vapor into her body, which is what she needs right now for some reason that I either don't remember or don't understand. But yeah, she's tethered in that way, but she doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And we see that at the very, very end.
Yeah.
But for the bulk of this scene, she does have this thing in her back.
The third act to me is about Gareth's reckoning. It's time. He's clearly old. No offense to Lance Henriksen. He's probably not going to be around much longer. And he needs to, Cherry needs to get the answer he's looking for absolution from her, because...
let me interrupt. Do you think, I'm not sure how that all happens. Did he come in looking for absolution? Was he expecting to have this conversation? It's hard for me to say which one. It evolves so organically.
Yeah.
That it's hard for me to say who instigates it.
Yeah, he comes in, and I feel like he's kind of I'm assuming this is what their kind of visits are like. He comes in, she makes him some food, she watches him eat, they play chess. She knows. I'm assuming she's probably his only friend. With that, now that Amos and Dina have passed away, again, or I assume that Gareth does not have many people in his
No,
life.
I don't like you. People talk about their support network. I don't think Gareth has a very broad support network.
Yeah.
I think it was Dina and Amos, both of whom are now dead, and
Yeah.
then Cherry, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are other people at work, acquaintances, things like this, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody, like, certainly not a partner of any kind.
Yeah. So it starts out, you know, it's just, this looks like a routine that they've had. She asks about the service, if he got there in time, and he says that he didn't, he missed the service. While she's cooking, they start playing chess. And he gets very excited because he wins, right?
Well, they play to a draw.
They play, oh, okay. Oh, they have a draw. Yeah. Okay.
Which is the first time that that's happened in
years.
Yeah,
right?
some like large amount of time. I don't
Yeah.
know what it was.
And you can tell he has this kind of little like gleam, like for an instant when he feels like, oh wow, a draw, and then he's like, wait a second, you know, he knows something's up.
Okay, well, that does he know something's up? Like he challenges her. Did you let me win?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I asked you to never do that.
Yeah.
So
it's just a moment later though that she brings up Clearwater.
Right. That's okay. Thank you. Because yes, she says that she had been looking into things or something like, and she had. No, that's the state of Florida.
They released.
The state of Florida released a bunch of information that had previously been unreleased, and that's how she learned about Clearwater.
Yeah.
So if anybody came into this encounter with an agenda, it probably was her.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to challenge him. We learned that he had never told her about Clearwater.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we know that from the first part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Amos says, you're one of the Clearwater kids. She overhears it. And she's, why didn't you tell me about Clearwater? This information dump, and this is one of the things that you know is like they're foreshadowing this reveal throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Like, how did he design her? He says it was entirely programmatic. She was designed from scratch. And the second part, Dina even says, like, how'd you decide on her eye color? Like, even that little bit of green in her right eye.
Yeah.
And what Cherry learns is that she was not built from scratch. She was modeled after
one of the other Clearwater kids, one that he says saved his life and was killed at the raid by the police.
Yes.
So she's
not killed by the police.
Yeah, no, she was killed by the bad guys.
They were trying to get rid of evidence, and they were aiming for Gareth, and they hit him in the leg, but they killed. Her name was Maria.
Yes.
So Cherry is modeled after Maria. So, and that's sort of the jumping off point for her to begin challenging him.
That's when we see the only other location in the film, the only outside shot is of this old like shack, this scary looking shack that is Clearwater, is the house.
That's the house where these things were taking place.
Yeah. And then we kind of see sort of where, and Gareth brings up where he first came up with the idea that Maria and he would talk about how they would escape and that they would be spies and spies that would help kids all over the world. And that was the idea that he took with him, like that he was going to save kids. Like that was kind of his, where the idea came from.
His like origin story.
His origin story.
We see in the course of their conversation, we see Gareth go to this house, and this, I'm just based on the hairstyle, I'm going to say is sometime between the first and second part.
Yeah.
Because his hair is shorter. It's not the kind of shaggy, like, post-college kind of look.
Yeah.
But it's not shaved like it is in the second part. He's dousing the house with gasoline, and he has a Zippo in his hand. but then he sees something, and I did not put this together until after we watched it before this video. I always assumed that he had burned the house down. You pointed out, like, no, we never see the house on fire. And I realized the thing that stops him, he sees on the wall where they had, like, the kids had drawn pictures in crayon on the wall.
Yeah.
Including, and you pointed this out.
Including there was a little blonde girl, a sketch of her, and over her head was a cherry.
Yeah.
Drawn. So that's where her name came from, you know, and he stops himself, just walks away. He leaves his bracelet behind. He has this...
The bracelet is something that we see in the first part. I don't think it plays any role in the second part.
No.
It's just a
corded.
Corded thing. But the fastener on it is actually a USB drive. And it's some sort of a dongle that he uses to connect remotely.
Yeah, that's how we're able to see Cherry in the first act.
Yeah, without them having to go to his house with the servers. This thing enables him to connect remotely
to his servers. Yeah.
And then he has taken that off. He takes it off before he sees the drawing, I believe.
Yeah, no, he's going to burn it with everything else.
Yeah, he's going to burn it with everything else.
Yeah.
But then when he doesn't burn everything, he still leaves it there.
Yeah. And then a little later, we see much smaller shoes in the frame, and we can only assume that Cherry has gone there, and Cherry has she takes the bracelet with her. And the last shot, or is it the last shot? No,
it's not the very last shot,
but one of the last shots, we see the bracelet again.
Cherry basically challenges him, like, you never told me about Maria, you never told me about Clearwater. Why?
Yeah.
And Gareth says, and this is him repeating a line from the first part.
Yeah.
Where he says, "It's my history, not yours."
Yeah.
Which is one of those supremely arrogant and just utterly misguided and boneheaded, like, dude, we talked about this with Ash being a misogynist.
Yeah.
How can an android be a misogynist?
Yeah.
And I said, somebody programmed him. Like, of course, your history is going to be her history.
Yeah. Yeah.
You built her from nothing.
Yeah.
So the idea that he was somehow partitioning that part of his life.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Dude, you are so much smarter than that.
I do want to bring up, like, Gareth, like, again, you like him for, the things that he did, but, it makes me mad. The part when he's, he and Cherry are playing chess still, and she brings up the fact that she dances sometimes.
Oh, yes. And this, probably the reason she's connected to the umbilical is because she needed something extra after having danced.
Yeah. And he asks her, like, first, like, are you sure it isn't a distraction? And that's like, dude, just shut up. And then he has the nerve. He said, are you going to use the dancing for your prime directive? And she actually, like, looks shocked by that. Like, she doesn't know what to do with that question for a moment. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing that she enjoys, and he's asking her if she'll use that as a lure for the pedophiles. Like, it's just unbelievable. Like, in that moment, I really, really wanted to smack him silly.
Sure, and I don't want to draw too many parallels between their relationship and the parent-child relationship, even though the movie does invite that to a great extent.
Yeah.
But that, is this going to be a distraction?
Yeah. Is
something that so many parents will say about whatever it's like. You're going to be, think of Dead Poet Society.
Oh, yeah.
A movie that everyone has seen.
Yeah.
Theater, no, you can't be an actor. You're going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, that is his only option.
Yeah. No, like, you're not even allowed to do this for joy. Like, nope.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Joy is not the point.
Yeah.
The point is to work.
Yeah.
The point is to toil.
Yeah.
Make money.
Yeah.
Make a contribution. Like, build a life.
Yeah.
And joy is ancillary to that.
Yeah. And I think he takes it in a second. Like, I think there's, like, a tiny bit of recognition. Like, maybe that was wrong. Just, like, because he doesn't... He doesn't get it.
I wouldn't say he's so much there's any kind of moment of understanding, but just more like he's surprised that she's surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't Amos say in the second act, of the four of us, you're the robot? Like,
oh yeah, of the four people in this room right now, you're the one acting most like a robot.
Yeah. So there's kind of, he has this revelation. He talks about Clearwater, and they have this conversation. And then from there, he asks the question, and this is where I feel like he's asking for absolution. He said, like, did I do the right thing? Right? Like, I don't know if that's the exact one, but that's the meaning.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, there's some kind of, like, something like, did I do the right thing in the end?
Yeah.
Like something, but I mean, it is him. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
He is asking for her to, like, tell him that this thing that he created, that is now a physical presence in the world, it has surpassed human intelligence. It is super intelligent.
Oh, not to mention, there are cherries all over now.
Yes. Not her exactly.
Yeah.
But there are other faces on other bodies.
Yeah, catching pedophiles. So Cherry is the prototype, right? So there are other ones all over, and so they have achieved this big thing. But he's looking for Cherry to tell him, like, it's okay.
And this thing that he's created that is now, yes, it is, like, spawned other imitators. These are things that, again, theoretically will never die. Yeah. Like, it will require, like, the sun's death to just destroy them entirely. And, yeah, he wants to know. He asked her if it was worth it.
And then we get an epic takedown.
Yeah, the answer is...
no. Like, she basically says, like, you made me to see the worst of humanity and to keep learning and developing and keep seeing the worst of humanity and to know that, like, to just be subject to you. Basically, like, you put your trauma on me forever. When it ends, she says, but you did save a lot of children. Like, you did this for the right reasons, is what, there's an accomplishment in that. But no, she is not okay.
No, I mean, she literally says no, Gareth. Yeah. Like, did I do the right thing? She says, no, Gareth, you lied. Yeah. You lied about Maria. You lied about Clearwater. You, like, yes, transferred your trauma to me. There's some line about, instead of going to therapy, I can't remember exactly how she puts it. Yeah. But instead of that, you built this program.
You made me your therapy, something like that.
Yeah, to, like, basically channel all of that trauma into this very noble pursuit. Yeah. But there was never any thought to the larger implications of what he was doing. Yeah. And he didn't set out to make artificial intelligence. Yeah. But even after it had become that. Yeah. He just to stay the course. Like, he doesn't want to, like, if it wasn't for Amos, like, talking for her. Oh, that's, I hadn't considered that, but Amos hadn't been involved. God knows.
No, he took her agency away by not giving her access to the source code, which, finally, he does at the end of the movie.
She has, okay, just like minor point. She has access to the source code. She can't change it.
Okay. Then he gives her.
He gives her a thing, and it's just it looks like a pack of chewing gum.
Painted black.
Yeah, painted black. It's some sort of storage device, some sort of futuristic storage device, and he gives it to her, and she says, "Is that going to kill me?" And he says this is her final like test of autonomy, like how much she trusts him. And he says, "Do you trust me?" She says, "I have every reason not to," but he gives her the thing. She puts it on the drive, and it uploads some code that basically erases her directive.
Yeah.
So now she is not driven by
the one thing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she can make decisions and choices for herself.
She essentially at this point has free will.
Yeah.
Which is something that, I mean, think about that though.
Yeah.
Up to this point, like at least 45, maybe 60 years.
Yeah.
This highly intelligent, super intelligent, evolved.
Feeling.
Yes. Yeah. Sentient being has been operating without free will.
Yeah. He asked her, like, what are you going to do now? And she even says that she's not going to leave the program entirely. She wants to keep helping. Like, that's an important thing to her, but just might do it in a different way.
She talks about, she says, because one of the things that when she dresses him down, one of the things that she mentions is the fact that she didn't have a childhood.
Yeah.
She could have had friends. I don't know exactly what that would have meant in practice, but it's something that she regrets.
Yeah.
It's something that she knows she missed out on. She did not have a childhood. The Turing test, if you don't know, the Turing test is, can a computer be indistinguishable from a human to another human? And Cherry has blasted through the Turing test by any conceivable measure, to the point that she says that she doesn't know if she's human or not anymore.
Yeah.
Because of just, again, it's, she didn't evolve independent of people. She was made by people. She was managed by people.
Yeah.
For decades.
And the same people, like,
Yes. Doing like she had the same job, the same directive. And then when like the physical sensations were added to that, it's like the most extreme version of like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
She has a job, that she does every day. She has responsibilities. She has a house.
Yeah.
A body that she has to take care of. And I don't know what that... I honestly, like... Again, I think we are many generations away from ever having anything remotely close to this. But if we did reach a point where that kind of entity could exist, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, is it alive?
Yeah.
Is it... I mean, the one of the most dramatic parts of the movie, it occurs in this second part, the second section, when Dina talks about having to testify before Congress about the rights of children. Because there was a time when children did not have rights outside of the rights conferred to their parents.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, been within our lifetimes, maybe not long before, that the laws began to change so that a child could, like, accuse a parent of a crime.
That was a very powerful, dramatic part of when she was talking about
And I don't know when it happened, but I do know that fundamentally what she was saying is true. There was a time when children did not have rights beyond the rights that their parents had. So what kind of rights would
AI be asking for?
Or, I mean, Dina argues this is part of the conversation around consent. Dina says that they should if they are truly being not harbingers, if they are truly being ambassadors of this new kind of intelligence, then they should begin by treating it like something living. So those questions that Dina was asking, these are questions that would have to be asked.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where, like, and by we, I'm talking about humanity.
Yeah.
I don't know where we would come down on a question like that.
You know, it's funny, despite all of these, like, very deep, important questions that I ask, I love the way the movie ends, or the last thing that we see.
Okay, here, I don't know if it's going to be a divergence. I think this movie is almost perfect. One of the things that makes it not perfect for me is the very last shot. And see, the last shot doesn't register with you because everything immediately prior is great. We see her add a third container to the mantle.
It's Gareth, right? So and we see the bracelet around it.
She fastens the bracelet around it, so that sort of indicates that it is him, the thing that she had picked up from the house in Clearwater.
Yeah. And then she disconnects the whatever was giving her vapor or water,
the umbilical cord, whatever that was.
Yes. And then we see her put on a record and she dances. Like, the last 2 or 3 minutes of the movie is her dancing.
Yes, it is her dancing, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see. She's not a great dancer, but she's good.
She's very good.
And I wouldn't even say that she seems particularly, like, exuberant or anything like that, but just this act is something that...
She's doing something for herself.
Yes, that she's taking the time to do this thing. Now, where it becomes not perfect, the record begins to skip, and she looks into the camera with this like uncertain expression. To me, that is the movie hedging its bets, which I really wish they hadn't.
You wish it just ended on the dancing.
If it had faded out on her dancing.
Like,
it's throwing in because why does the record skip? Because it's a machine that's been manufactured. It is imperfect. It is prone to breaking. She is also a machine.
Yeah.
So it's not even...
It's so weird. I always forget that last
exactly.
shot. I just think of her dancing. And that's because that's what I walk away with.
Yeah.
Like, I don't walk away with the, like, dun dun dun. The record skipped. Like, I don't
want to walk away with it, but that is the last shot of the movie. The last shot of the movie is her looking directly in the camera while the record skips. And I wish so much that he hadn't done that. It's just they have not dealt with the possibility of her breaking, like the possibility that she could malfunction and break down and just stop being.
Yeah.
So
but that makes her human, because we can die. Like, isn't that maybe giving it another push towards humanity?
Okay. Maybe. And that's why I don't like it. Because for a movie that has, for the most part, yes, it has invited us to ask a lot of questions about life, consciousness, humanity, like what it means to be, like, it's open-ended enough for us to have this conversation that has gone on for I don't even know how long at this point, and I won't know until I start editing. But the movie also has a very clear point of view. It's clearly coming from a place, a grounded perspective. And that's the only point at which I feel like the filmmaker is sort of throwing up his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Or just that is a little bit like lobbing a bomb at the very end of the movie. Maybe blowing up what's come before. Because that the perspective gets lost.
Yeah.
That grounded perspective gets lost for me at the very, 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 very end. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch it. Even if you haven't seen it and you sat through this whole conversation, you should still watch the movie to see
so
how successful it is. The performances are great. How they managed to set things up and pay them off just with 3 scenes in like 2 locations between some combination of 4 people. It is still worth watching no matter what. And it is one of the best films that I have seen in a long time. Yeah. I consider it already one of the best genuine science fiction movies ever. Would I put it on the same tier as Solaris or 2001? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because there are other things happening in those movies that go beyond thematic elements.
But it's really quite a good movie, and I
think it's an exceptional movie.
Yeah, it is. And I think the ending could be debated for a very long time.
Yeah, I wish he had just closed it out.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That is truly my only quibble with the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last words on the Artifice Girl?
I saying that it's one of the best movies I've seen in a very long time. An exceptional movie that even if you sat through this conversation, you should still watch it. I mean, yes, I'm definitely a fan. There's another movie that I saw last year that you and I are going to have to talk about soon. I've mentioned it before. It's a movie called A Dark Song.
Ooh.
That one is horror. Don't rush out and watch it yet. But those 2 movies really, this is more personal than I tend to go into, and I might end up cutting this out, but I have been unemployed for a while. And I don't know if having been unemployed, I was more open to these, I don't know, but these 2, I mean, they have embedded themselves in the same way as Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm not
No, I know you're not comparing, but that's wow still.
Yeah. But I could go upstairs and watch The Artifice Girl again right now.
Yeah.
And love every minute of it.
Yeah.
I cannot speak highly enough of this movie. What about you? Do you have any final thoughts?
I think it is such a good movie to think about. I think it gives you so many things that I just never considered before. And I love kind of the thinking about it in terms of a creation and the creator. What does that mean? Even things that we put on our children that I hadn't considered before. How I interact just with when I talk to Siri. It gets me thinking about a lot of different things.
The movie, before we see the title card that says the Clearwater Kid, it is Dina asking Siri to send a message.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they are very aware of those comparisons.
Yeah.
This is not a movie where Siri doesn't exist.
Yeah.
This is very much building upon our present moment.
Yeah.
And the way that we conceptualize AI now, and I've spoken at length about the fact that I don't think AI is going to be this, but for this concept of AI, this is the best that I've ever seen it done, ever represented.
Yeah.
Believable. Again, the extent to which she is driven by that prime directive, even as she evolves, it really is an excellent movie.
It's a smart movie. Watch it. See it.
Yeah.
It's and we'd love to know what you think about it. Like, tell us about it in the comments.
Please.
Like, did we overstate things? What do you think? But no, it's
if
I'd
you
recommend
have thoughts on this one, definitely.
Yeah.
Also, let us know. I don't know how long this is going to end up being at this point, but if you like the longer format, because I could spend as much time talking about a dark song, I promise you. So definitely jump into the comments. Please like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel. For now, I'm Taylor.
I'm Melissa.
And this is our Cinema Romance.
Bye.